Hello everyone, my name is Beckett. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about Outriders. The demo came out today and I'm going to be letting you know what my first impressions, my thoughts, and honestly I do not think it's ready. But before we get started, if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit that notification bell if you want to get notified every time I upload a new video. Alright, we have a lot to unwrap, and if you are a fanboy or on the Outriders hype train, you are going to be severely disappointed. And I'm just going to say right off the beginning, they weren't even ready for these servers. Everything crashed. We couldn't even get on. I think I spent about 45 minutes to an hour waiting to get logged on, and I finally was able to do that on PC, and I've heard that was happening on every single platform. They even came out on Twitter and said, oh, we have to double up. I think they should have doubled up from the beginning. As much as this game had been getting hyped over the last few months, they should have known and they should have been prepared. It just gave me PTSD from Diablo 3 launch. Now I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's a demo, they're going to fix things, but we have less than 5 weeks to launch and they would have to fix a whole hell of a lot. The fact that it lacks any PC settings other than just being able to put everything on Ultra, not being able to turn off motion blur without actually going into the game's code is kind of ridiculous, and it should be ready. Now I've heard them say that it is going to be ready on launch, but right now it makes me want to puke. It kind of gave me a headache, and the music was just so loud that you kind of miss a lot of the dialogue that's going on until you can actually get into the start menu and you can actually change those settings. But the motion blur was just so bad that at certain points it just made me want to turn off the game or take a break just because it was hurting my eyes, and that is not a good place, and that's not where you want for this demo, because in all honesty this demo is a marketing demo. It comes out 5 weeks. All the games are probably already printed out. A lot of the things they're going to fix is going to be small quality of life things that we're going to see in a day one patch. Now let's talk about the cinematics and the story. And a lot of times when you're playing the game and it goes straight into a cinematic, you get this like shaky cam, and a lot of the aspects of the cinematic kind of are blurred out from different parts. And this is me playing on Ultra. I didn't really have any frame rate or any drops noticeably every once in a while, but it wasn't from actual gameplay. It would be running around in the little social space or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of it is like down to like audio isn't synced, or it just feels really laggy, and that shaky cam just really kind of takes you out of the game, and it's just not fun to watch, and you kind of just look away and listen to the audio. Now when we actually get into the dialogue and the story, a lot of it just feels really uninspired, and it looks like something you would see from a B movie. No reason to really care about the stories or the characters, just kind of like point, shoot. No, not all is bad. The gunplay doesn't actually feel that bad. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. We kind of have that middle ground, but we have that same feeling that we have in Division 2, where you don't really know what gun you're shooting unless you see a reticle. If there was no reticle on my screen, I couldn't tell you if I was shooting an SMG or an AR. It just doesn't feel any different, and you don't really know what you're doing. And I did this all while playing a trickster / blade dancer, and when we started using the abilities, you kind of feel a little clunky, and at times it just made it harder to play. Now there is a cover system inside this game, but for me I felt like it was pretty useless as I was using the trickster. Now maybe in other classes it may be more useful, but as a trickster you're usually moving around fairly close range and you're able to heal yourself up pretty quickly, and it's not really an issue. There was never a time that I actually wanted to go into cover, and when I would go into cover sometimes I just couldn't pull out my gun or shoot properly, and it kind of leaves a lot more to be desired, especially someone who's coming from the Division 2. And one thing that really bothered me about the movement and just moving around the different maps, and I wouldn't even call them maps because it's not really that big of an area you have to move around with, and the cinematics that we see, or I mean not the cinematics but like the trailers that we see, it makes it seem like the world is a lot bigger than it actually is. And while you're moving throughout combat and stuff, you can move to the right, like dodge to the right, dodge to the left, move forward, or dodge backwards, but you have to actually use your movement keys, and sometimes you'll accidentally dodge when you're not trying to, and it just kind of feels bad, and it honestly just puts you out of place. Now let's hop over and talk about the missions and the side missions that you get to play. So it's a very linear experience. Do not expect an open world like Destiny or The Division where you can actually travel and look around the world or do different activities, because in that sense I felt like it wasn't really that kind of experience. And honestly, the missions just really feel lackluster. Maybe in the main mission there was like 10 to 15 enemies I dealt with, and I was constantly raising my world tier score, and I felt like it really didn't matter. It just added a little bit more health on the enemies, and you just clear a little room and it's like you're done with the mission. That's it. There's a couple cutscenes, and in my personal opinion, it feels like the cutscenes are just extra loading screens. It doesn't feel like you can leave a room or a little small area without going into another loading screen and another loading screen. So it just really stops you from playing. It doesn't really feel like an interactive experience. And when we hop into the side missions, it's even less enemies, and it's even a smaller bit of area that you have to clear out. Maybe 5 enemies, you're done. Yeah, you get some loot, but it's really not that rewarding from a gameplay stance. Now, I really wanted this game to be great, and I've talked about it many times. I wanted it to be the next looter shooter, just so it kind of put that shot into Bungie's and Massive's arms and really kind of thrust them forward to make better content. But I don't think that is this game, and it may be in the future, maybe in a year or two after a few different DLCs. But at this point right now, I wouldn't spend my money on it. I probably wouldn't pre-order it, and I would just wait till they do some meaningful fixes. Now, if they do something drastic like on day 1 patch, it might change my mind, maybe the reviews and the campaign. But currently at this point, it feels like it was a single player game, and Square Enix or whoever was in charge decided to make it into a shooter looter kind of live service, even though they say it's not a live service, but it has a lot of features like a live service, as well as a lot of recycled content. Now they can say, oh, the campaign is totally different, but if we end up going to endgame and we have the same experience as we do in the demos, small missions that really aren't that fun to play, and you can just run through them really quick in less than 15 minutes, it's not going to be that great of experience, and it's not going to make me move from the Division 2, and I don't think it's going to make people who play Destiny 2 move from that, just because both different games, whether it's Destiny 2 or the Division, which seems like they took a lot of aspects from that, but they didn't actually improve on it or make it better. It just feels like, okay, if I'm going to play Division 2, I might as well play Division 2, because why play Outriders if Division 2 does a certain feature like cover-based shooting, whatever it may be, or Destiny 2, their story, their world, the world building just feels a lot better than the Outriders does at this current moment. Now, things may change in the future, and it may be a totally different game when it launches. When we get into endgame, when we get into the missions, the story might be more involved, but at this point, I would seriously think about pre-ordering. Maybe cancel your pre-order and just wait for the actual Metacritic or the different kind of reviews, the Steam reviews to come out. Now, that's all I have about the Outriders. Have you guys played it? How do you feel about it? I would love to know down in the comments, but for me, it just doesn't give me that same feeling that Division 2 does, nor does it give me the feeling that Destiny 2 does. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.